Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps.
All right, so get this, everyone.
Yeah.
Today we are going to dive deep into ancient biblical mysteries, colliding with some Cold War espionage.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We're talking about the Ark of the Covenant.
All right.
You know that legendary chest said to hold the Ten Commandments?
Right.
And you might be thinking, why on earth would the CIA be interested in something like that?
Exactly.
Well, in the early 1990s, they were actually keeping tabs on an archaeologist named Vendal Jones, who believed he was really close to actually finding it.
That's wild.
I know. Pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
So it does seem a little strange at first,
It does.
but when you kind of understand the historical context,
Yeah.
the CIA's interest becomes a bit clearer.
Yeah, a little bit.
So during the Cold War, the lines between the known and unknown got really blurry.
They did. They definitely did.
So are we talking about like psychic spies and stuff here?
You got it. Like
Yep.
full-on psychic spies.
Wow.
Yeah, so the CIA was really exploring all sorts of unconventional avenues for intelligence gathering, including the world of paranormal phenomena.
Right.
One program in particular, known as Project Sunstreak, or Project Stargate, delved into the potential of remote viewing.
Okay.
So basically, they were investigating whether people could see distant locations with their minds.
Hold on. So they were actually using psychic powers to try and find this Ark?
They were.
I am hooked already.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
I'm in.
So, declassified documents actually show that they tasked these remote viewers with trying to locate the Ark. Why? We can only speculate.
Right.
Perhaps they thought it held some strategic advantage.
Okay.
Maybe they were just trying to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what did these psychic spies uncover? Did they actually find it? Did they see it?
Well, according to these declassified files, the remote viewing sessions yielded some interesting results.
Wait.
One viewer described the Ark being hidden away in a Middle Eastern country,
Okay.
guarded heavily by strange entities.
Wait, entities? Like not human guards?
Yeah, not human guards. That's where things get really eerie.
Right.
The viewer described these entities as resembling beings from Islamic eschatology,
Interesting.
specifically something similar to the jinn.
Okay.
Now, for those who don't know, the jinn are these supernatural creatures mentioned in the Quran.
Okay.
And Islamic folklore, they're often depicted as beings of like smokeless fire.
Whoa.
They can shape-shift and influence the human world.
So we're potentially talking about the CIA, a biblical artifact, and supernatural beings.
We are?
This is like Indiana Jones meets the X-Files.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
It really does kind of blur the lines between history,
Yeah.
religion, and the paranormal.
Yeah.
But before we get too caught up in the supernatural stuff, let's step back and consider the real-world implications of this,
Yeah, for sure.
of the CIA's interests.
Right, because this is the Cold War we're talking about,
Exactly.
when paranoia was at an all-time high,
Yeah.
and both sides were just looking for any edge they could get. So finding something like the Ark, with all its supposed powers,
All right.
well, that could have been a game changer.
A total game changer.
Yeah.
Exactly. The documents don't explicitly state their motivations,
Right,
but you can imagine the possibilities.
for sure.
Did they believe that the Ark held some military potential?
Yeah.
Was it about denying this potential weapon to the Soviets?
Right.
Or was there something else entirely, something we haven't even considered?
Yeah, it's crazy to even think about.
It is.
Like, the possibilities are truly endless.
Yeah.
Hold on, though. Before we get too far down this rabbit hole,
Yeah.
what about that whole Ark of Gabriel story?
Oh, yeah.
It was on the internet a few years ago.
I remember that.
Wasn't there something about it being found in Saudi Arabia,
Yes.
causing a bunch of accidents?
Yeah.
I remember seeing something about it online.
Yeah, the Ark of Gabriel incident.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is a classic example of disinformation.
Really?
Yeah. So the story claimed that this Ark of Gabriel was discovered in Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
and it caused a series of accidents,
Like what?
including a crane collapse at the Grand Mosque,
Wow.
before being whisked away to Antarctica.
Antarctica. Seriously.
Antarctica.
That does sound a bit far-fetched,
It does.
even for all this.
Yeah.
So what's the real story?
Well, the story originated from a blogger known as Sorcha Fall.
Okay.
That's a persona associated with a guy named David Booth.
Okay.
He's got a reputation for spreading disinformation,
Really?
possibly even as part of a campaign.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this whole Ark of Gabriel thing was completely made up.
Pretty much.
Right, yeah.
While the accidents that it mentions, like the crane collapse and the Hajj stampede,
Right.
were real events.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Tragic.
Yeah, there is no evidence linking them to any sort of mysterious ark.
At all.
No, that connection was totally fabricated.
So why would someone create such an elaborate hoax?
There are a few theories. One suggests that it was a deliberate attempt to muddy the waters around genuine reports of paranormal activity,
Okay.
making it harder to tell what is fact and what's fiction.
Yeah, that's sneaky.
Yeah, very sneaky.
Wow.
And it kind of shows how much potential there is for disruption if there was widespread belief in the paranormal,
Yeah.
especially in societies where these beliefs aren't as culturally ingrained.
Sure.
Can you imagine the chaos and instability?
Yeah.
If people started to question the very fabric of reality
Right.
based on stories that were totally made up.
That's kind of chilling to think about.
It is.
It makes you wonder if there's a reason someone might want to keep a lid on these sorts of things.
It does.
Like, what if they're worried about the implications if everyone knew the truth?
Right, that's a question worth thinking about.
It is.
But let's shift focus back to the Ark itself.
Okay.
One question that comes up a lot
Yeah.
is, could there be more than one Ark?
Multiple arcs.
Multiple Arks.
Now we're going deep into speculation territory.
We are.
But I gotta admit, the idea of multiple arcs out there is pretty exciting.
It is. It's a good one. Yeah, it's a theory that's been going around for a while,
Right.
and it's not entirely impossible.
Yeah.
Some believe that there may be multiple Ark-like devices just scattered throughout the world,
Interesting.
each with its own unique properties and purpose.
Okay, so now we're really going deep into speculation territory.
We are.
But I gotta admit, the idea of multiple arcs out there is pretty exciting.
It is. It really adds another layer of intrigue to the mystery.
It does.
But let's not forget about those German expeditions to Antarctica
Oh, yeah.
back in the 1930s.
Right.
They were obsessed with occult artifacts.
Yeah.
And some people think they were looking for, or even trying to transport the Ark to the continent.
Hold on, the Nazis were interested in the Ark, too.
They were.
What were they hoping to achieve?
That's a great question.
World domination powered by a biblical artifact.
I mean, it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility.
Right.
We know they had a huge fascination with ancient technology and the occult,
Yeah.
looking for power in any form they could get their hands on.
Yeah.
So the idea of a device with the power described in religious texts, you know, the power to control the elements, maybe even influence minds,
Right.
let's just say it would have been a very tempting prize for them.
It would have been.
Yeah.
And what about the Vatican?
The Vatican.
Were they involved with the Nazis in some way?
In some capacity, yeah.
What role did they play in all this?
The Vatican's relationship with Nazi Germany is really complex.
Yeah.
And it's controversial,
It is.
but it's true that they did have dealings.
Right.
And it's completely possible that the Vatican knew a thing or two about the Ark's location.
Yeah.
Some even think that the Vatican possesses the real Ark, just hidden away in their massive archives.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now we've got the CIA, the Nazis, and the Vatican.
All tangled up in the Ark mystery.
Yeah, all tangled up.
It's getting tough to separate what's real and what's not.
It is.
But let's get back to that remote viewer's vision.
Yeah. Right?
Remember, they described the Ark being hidden in a spot with domed building.
Right. Domed buildings. Does that sound familiar?
It does. It definitely points towards a really specific and very contested spot.
Where?
The Temple Mount in Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
A site that's holy to Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike.
Right.
It's long been thought of as a possible hiding place for the Ark.
The Temple Mount. That's a place just drowning in history and mystery.
It is.
But wouldn't it be super difficult to hide something as big as the Ark in such a heavily guarded spot?
It would. It'd be challenging for sure.
Right. I mean, it's archaeologically scrutinized all the time.
Yeah, but you have to remember the Temple Mount is also a highly contested area.
Yeah.
With a lot of different religious groups all claiming ownership and control.
Right.
And this makes digging and exploring there incredibly complicated,
Yeah.
with many places being totally off limits because of political and religious sensitivities.
All right.
So it's totally possible the Ark could be hidden in one of these restricted areas.
Yeah.
Its existence only known by a select few.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we got the Temple Mount as a possible hiding place.
We do.
Are there any other places worth thinking about?
Yeah, there are a couple others that come up a lot in these discussions.
Like what?
Ethiopia, for instance.
Ethiopia.
Yeah, they hold a strong claim.
Okay.
The Ethiopian Orthodox Church really believes that they have the Ark.
Right.
They have a whole tradition surrounding it.
Wow.
While some people just dismiss their claims as a legend,
Right.
Others think there might be real historical evidence backing them up.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So we've got the Temple Mount, Ethiopia,
Mm-hmm.
any other contenders?
Well, we can't forget Ron Wyatt's claims.
Who's Ron Wyatt?
He was this amateur archaeologist who thought he found the Ark under Golgotha,
Okay.
the site of Jesus' crucifixion. And then there's always the chance that it's hidden in other countries that have strong connections to biblical history.
Okay.
Places like Yemen, Jordan, or Egypt.
So it seems like the Ark could be just about anywhere.
It really could.
But if it does exist,
Right.
and if it has even a little bit of the power described in these texts,
Yeah.
wouldn't its rediscovery have a huge impact on the world?
Absolutely. I mean, imagine what it would mean for religion,
Right.
science, even politics.
Yeah.
It would be unlike anything we've ever seen.
It would be a total paradigm shift.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like the Ark is this nexus point,
Okay.
this focal point where history and religion and the paranormal all meet.
It's a concept that keeps capturing our imagination
It does.
and fuels our curiosity,
Yeah,
even centuries after it supposedly vanished.
exactly. And the fact that it's still a mystery just makes it more appealing.
Yeah.
You know, we're drawn to the unknown,
Yeah.
to the thought that something so powerful and important might still be out there somewhere, just waiting to be found.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
We've explored the CIA's interest.
We have.
We've talked about the Nazi connections,
Right.
the possibility of there being multiple arcs
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of different places where it might be.
Yeah.
But we're still left with way more questions than answers.
It seems like it, yeah.
So what's the big takeaway for our listener? What can they get out of all this information?
Well, I think the main takeaway is this. The search for the Ark of the Covenant
Yeah.
is way more than just a treasure hunt.
Okay.
It's a journey into the heart of what makes us human, you know, our curiosity, our enduring fascination with the past,
Yeah.
and our never-ending search for the unknown.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
And it reminds us that there are still mysteries out there
there are.
that might never be solved.
Right.
Secrets that keep teasing us and inspiring us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's a reminder that sometimes the journey is just as important as where you end up. And in this case, the journey has taken us through some pretty wild places.
It has.
We're talking Cold War, espionage, biblical mysteries, the occult, even the possibility of supernatural beings.
Yeah, it's been quite the deep dive.
It really has.
And I think it kind of highlights something important about the Ark itself.
What's that?
It's more than just an old artifact. It's a symbol.
Oh.
A symbol of power, mystery, and, you know, that desire we all have
Yeah.
to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. And even if we never actually find it, the exploration of all these possibilities, like the
Right.
what ifs, that's what really keeps us interested and curious about the world.
It does. It really does.
Totally.
But let's not forget that the CIA's interest in this whole thing came from a very real concern, national security.
Right, yeah.
The Cold War, man, it was a time of some serious rivalry and paranoia. They were looking at every single option,
Yeah.
even the ones that seemed impossible to
Yeah.
try and get ahead.
So if we go back to that first question,
Yeah,
why was the CIA looking for this thing?
right.
It seems like the answer is a whole bunch of different factors.
It does, yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say.
Okay.
It was this blend of strategic thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that Cold War paranoia,
Yeah.
and maybe even, just a little bit, that fascination with the unknown that we all have.
Yeah.
You know, the Ark represented a possible way to get more power,
Yeah.
a mystery that needed solving,
Right.
and a potential threat that they needed to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows, maybe it was a little of all those things.
Right.
But no matter what their reasons were,
Yeah.
the CIA being involved adds a really fascinating layer
It does.
to this already super captivating story of the Ark.
Yeah.
It reminds us that history is full of surprises.
It is.
And sometimes it's really hard to tell what's real and what's not.
That's true.
Absolutely. And I think for our listener, this whole deep dive is a good reminder
Okay.
to keep questioning, keep exploring, and never, ever underestimate the power of being curious.
It's good advice.
Yeah, the search for this Ark might stay a mystery forever,
It might.
but going after knowledge and understanding, that's a journey worth taking.
I agree. Well said.
Thanks.
And who knows, maybe someday the mystery of the Ark will actually be solved.
Maybe, yeah.
But until then,
Yeah.
all the speculation, the theories, and the fact that people are so fascinated by this ancient thing.
It's true.
Well, it'll keep capturing our imaginations.
It will. It really will.
So to everyone listening, keep those theories coming.
Yeah, keep him coming.
Keep digging deeper.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to uncover the truth behind the Ark of the Covenant.
Until next time, keep exploring.
See ya.
Feel free to comment your thoughts or where you would like the conversation to go in a future cast. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps.